Alright, is this microphone working? Yes, it is. Been a little while. A little rusty. A little weird doing this again. But looking forward to it. Hello, Walnut. Good to see you again. It's been years. Swap. Alright. So, wonder if all my buttons are working. I gotta test this out. Oh yeah, there's the start. Main. Cool. What do I got here? Chat. Hello. Big, weird looking face. Got my be right back. Awesome. Hey, and my 10-minute be right back is working too. Good. Hotel Lima. Good day. Welcome back. Haven't seen one of these before. Came across your YouTube recently. Awesome. It's good to see you. And I hope you like synth eyes and tutorials. Also, very poorly planned live streams. So I'm going to jump right into this because I'm doing the shot in preparation for a tutorial. So I'm just going to casually do this and not take it very seriously and try to get it done in a very decent amount of time. I do have a lot of my I actually have this done already. I'm just doing this, well, you know, because somebody asked if I was going to stream and I thought, hey, might as well jump back into it, see how it goes. So I might do a stream when I'm prepping my tutorials, when I need to get stuff like photo modeling or any of this stuff. Something I could use to fill time. So here I have some images that I shot on my iPhone using the wide camera. So in the past, we've talked about using images for your phones because it's problematic. Because phones like to stabilize the image. And when they stabilize the image, they warp it. So that's problematic for solving. So instead of using the main camera on my iPhone, I use the wide angle. And wide angle is better for photo modeling anyway. But the benefit of using the wide angle on here, it doesn't stabilize. So yeah, kind of a good deal. So I'm gonna select my images here. Ignore all of these down below. They say UD. That's just because I've written out an undistorted sequence when I did this the first time. So I'm gonna select my first frame. And I don't care about backplate information or anything because with an iPhone, these measurements get so small that when you export to other software, the values don't read over correctly, I believe, if I remember. All right, so let's just kind of jump into this quickly. Wow, that's lightning fast, and I'm honestly not going to track much. I'm going to track a few points just to show how I do this, and then I'm going to import my points and just have it done immediately. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this at all. This is probably going to be a quick stream. But just to show how photo modeling kind of works and how to solve this and get some nice straight axis lines. So let's go ahead and get started with a point. Starting at frame 1. Let's see, let's go with the easy one. This corner. Try to get, when you're photo modeling, just like any solve, you want to get points at the foreground, midground, background. You want to cover any plane of depth that you can. So let's start here, why not? So this tracker, when I go ahead, we're not really going to track anything because you can't. Because everything is jumping around so fast that it doesn't matter. So this here already got lost. I'm just going to disable it with E on my keyboard. So one frame, and I'm going to go right over here. There's that corner again. And to bring it back, there's a couple ways to do this. You can hold Z on your keyboard and click. There you go. And it's the same tracker. You can see we got one. Whoa, I deselected it. 1 and 2 keyframes. I'm going to undo that. The other way, if you wanted to bring it back this way, is you can come click this big red box over here, your little thumbnail view. It's going to bring the tracker back, but yeah, it kind of shoots itself somewhere off in the space. That's usually how I do it for a normal shot, but because the image jumped halfway across the universe, I'm going to hold Z to Z drop. All right, so I'm just going to go quickly stitch in a couple of these points here. I can barely see what's going on here, but I can kind of see the corner. These pixels are a little bit sketchy, but it's okay. Now, it's not really okay. Try not to be so uncertain with your corners. I gotta go back here and just sit down with some tea or something. This area is so nice. I never come here just to sit. I always walk through it in passing. Never do anything there. It's pretty. Luck. And how about this corner? You know what? I'm gonna get points that I know I haven't gotten in my first run. Just so I'm not doing repeated points. So I'm gonna do a couple points I know I haven't done, just because why not? And then I'll import the other shot. Walnut, the photos with the flares look really, really nice, yeah. Yeah, it's super nice here. Vancouver is a very pretty city. Yeah, the flare, wow, the flare is kind of intense. You know, I never really looked at the flare. That is a wild flare. All right. So I didn't get the back of this, I think. So this would be useful to have. Also, I'm going to turn off my lock on because I want to be able to quickly pan over to my stuff. And the lock thing keeps preventing me from doing that. Man, I don't get to use Synthize enough these days. I miss it. Okay, maybe one up here. Up in the middle cauldron. For anybody who doesn't know, this was for like the 2010 Olympics, Winter Olympics, I think, for Vancouver. These are like Olympic cauldrons. I could be getting that wrong. For what year? For the Olympics? I don't remember. Let's see. Maybe something on the building over here. I can use this building. Nope. I can't keep track of the window. All right, and I'm probably just gonna find a couple more points and then dump in all the points that I already did, and then just solve this. So I'm gonna be doing that in like a couple minutes. I'm not gonna be doing this process the entire time. I want some more of the Cactus Club. Is there even anything worthwhile on there? I don't think so. I don't care. You know what I do want? I don't have a point here. In my other solve, I kind of wish I put a point here. I can see this little mark on top of this, I don't know, was that cement? I don't know. There it is, and I'll put it right here. Hotel Lima. I'm guessing you've done a heap of tutorials on this, but do you work with wide angle fisheye footage directly in Synthize, or do you prefer to understore it before going into Synthize? I always understore it in Synthize. Fisheye you want to do in Synthize. It also depends on what you mean by fisheye. Fisheye can sometimes be like, let's see. Let me go over here. Fisheye can sometimes be Like some people might call this fisheye, like something, yeah, ignore that. That's not typical. Pretend it was a lot wider than this. Anyway, some people call that fisheye. Fisheye to me is almost 180 degrees. So almost like this. So that I would definitely do in SynthEyes because you can't undistort that into a flat plane. The image is so large that the distortion will shoot off into infinity and it's impossible to get the resolution for it. No program can do it on a flat surface. And it's not that no program can't do it, it's that it's impossible to do it. So how do you do it? With a super wide fisheye, I do it in SynthEyes. We can use the lens master calibration. Lens master calibration. And if you have a checkerboard or even if you have straight lines in your scene, you can undistort that fisheye lens onto geometry. And you treat it as if it's a VR shot. So that's kind of how you want to work with it. Yeah, I prefer to do all my distortion in SynthEyes. It depends though too, because sometimes Nuke or other software will have more parameters than SynthEyes does. SynthEyes has, like, yeah, it has quadratic here, has quartic, cubic. But other software can actually individually undistort separate corners as well. So sometimes it might be necessary to do it in something like Nuke. 3D Equalizer is king for distortion. No question. That's, if you happen to for some reason have 3D Equalizer and you know how to do it, just do it in there. And then take an ST map over to SynthEyes. Unless your shot zooms. Then you need animated zoom, which you might as well just do it in SynthEyes. Check off zooming distortion here, because then you don't have to deal with animated maps, which you can't time coming out of 3D, transferring over from 3D Equalizer. Yeah. Awesome, yeah. I figured the WA lens on the iPhone must be pretty gnarly. Yeah, actually, this lens isn't too bad. This lens has almost no distortion. You'll see in a moment when I solve it. I'll solve it in a couple minutes here. Because I'm only going to put a point on here and on one of the cauldrons. And then I'm going to call this done. And then I'll bring in my points, solve it. You'll see how to solve it. See what the distortion looks like. But it's almost nothing. It's not that exciting. Where did my point go? There it is. Had to bring it over to the beginning of the shot. Ooh, I can't see. Here's a little bit of a handy thing. Over here, as I'm trying to scrub through my shot at the timeline, down at the time slider, I want to like A and F and jump over to the keys at the beginning, but it's kind of a pain. I want to see it at the same angle. But you can't like jump from the end frame to the first frame with A and F. So instead of jumping with A and F, left click on the first frame, and then to jump back, right click. So see, I can compare the angles a little bit, pleasantly. I can't speak, dude. I'm tired today. I am so tired. I didn't get a good sleep. I did not get a good sleep. Okay. So let me make sure that this active range in the middle is disabled with E. Okay, so I got a point there, and I think I just want to get a point up here. I can't remember if I did this. What? Ah. That was kind of hard to tell what was going on there. Oh, you know what I want? I want this big seat thingy. I can't see the corner exactly. I think that's got to be it. That's where the pixel flattens out. Oh, is that it? There's nothing left. Oh, there it is. Can't even see what this is. Is this the corner? Yeah, it has a little bit of an overhang. I think that's it. I'm gonna bring it a little bit over there. Sometimes if I'm uncertain of a point, I want to remember it. So I'm gonna color it something obnoxious. I'm gonna go magenta. Or do I want a light blue? Or yellow? No, I want to... No, magenta. That's the most unnatural color. Easy to spot. I don't really like this. And we'll come back to it. What's this dude holding? Oh, those drinks. He looks so concerned about the drinks. Was that coffee? And a phone? No, that's not a phone. What is that? The hell is that? I'm focused on the wrong thing here. Do I have him in another angle? That's gotta be... Oh, that's a phone. I thought part of his shirt was part of this. That is a phone. It's a calculator. Hotel magenta really is the most obnoxious color. It is. Yeah, it really is. Okay, let me get the corner. Wait, did I miss a point? Nope, I didn't. Let me get this side. I have a few shots on my Blackmagic camera that are going to go along with this, because I am doing this so I have some survey data for a tripod tutorial. Because if you have survey data with a tripod shot, you don't solve using tripod mode. You just don't. You actually solve it as a free move. Because when you solve as a free move, it lets you constrain to things. You can't constrain points from a nodal camera. Man, I have weird pauses in my speech. I don't know why. Good thing I cut all those out in the tutorials. Okay, so I got that. Is there anything else I want? I doubt it. I'm probably going to bring in my points now. Yeah, let's bring in my points. I'm going to bring them in. All right, I should also save this. So let's call this underscore version 2. And to bring in my points that I exported earlier, I'm going to go File, Import 2D Paths, Synthize, ignore my messy file, structure, where is it? Again, this is not a very organized stream. It's been a while, and I'm just casually doing this for tutorial sake. And hey, benefit, you get to see a little bit of the setup for my little survey thing. Confirm save as. Did I save as? Instead of import, why would I do that? I'm a noodle. Import. It's been so long since I've extensively used these features, so you're gonna have to just bear with me. Import. Please work. Yeah. All right, so I have my points. Just to prove it to you, I'm going to go display, show image. Here are all my points against a blue void. Okay, so to solve this, yeah, Shift G. Wow. But something I want to say real quick is something that I did accidentally. This point up here. This point, before, instead of tracking this column thing, whatever you want to call it, I accidentally tracked this one on the next frame, which rippled across and ruined my solve. When you're placing down points and you have to keep placing them after these large jumps, it gets really hard to keep track of them. If your solve isn't working, it's likely because somewhere you misplaced the tracker. Yeah. You. Specifically you, Phil, sitting at your desk, eating an apple. Could you imagine if I very specifically called out a Phil eating an apple? How spooked that dude must be right now. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's quickly hit solve. I'm going to come over to solver, hit the big green button rather than the hotkey for some reason. Don't know why. Oh no, it's screwed up. So now I'm going to have to fumble over why this didn't work when it worked perfectly the first time. Probably because of my new points. Oh, I think I know why. I think I know what my problem is already. So, here's my guess as to what happened. When I exported those trackers and when I exported these trackers and I had tracked new points here, I can't pronounce your name. Perik shit? I can't pronounce your name. Hello, good to see you. Hope you like photo modeling and synthesize. What was I saying? I can't remember what I was saying. I got derailed. Oh, that's right. My problem. So my solve just failed. I think I know why. The reason being is when you export trackers out of Synthesize, again, at the start of the stream, I already said I have tracked this already and I exported those trackers from my old file. So I did a couple points as example. And now I imported all these new trackers. So what I think happened is if I look over here to the points where I should have had over on this bench. Yeah, my bench point is gone. It's there. So, okay, so here's what I think happened. And I'm pretty sure this is what happened. So if I scrub through this, yeah, so this point is now jumping from this bench over here. So I've screwed myself. So here's what happened. I tracked those 2 points. They were named tracker 1, 2. My other trackers from my old Synthesize, they were named like tracker 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. When I brought them in, the trackers that were named tracker 1 and tracker 1 merged. So they are now jumping in between each other. So that screwed up my solve. If you're ever bringing in trackers into a new scene, here's what you gotta do. So I'm gonna undo this import. I'm just gonna Control Z until all these points go away. There we go. Hotel Lima, LOL. Laughter at my expense. You are a good sir. Okay, so you see my point is fixed now. Let's import the other points correctly. I'm gonna go File, Import, Plain Text, Tracker 2D Paths, and I'm gonna select my points here. So I always hit defaults because it resets the first and last frame, but you need to have Force Unique Names checked on. Okay, and now you can see my point is still sitting there correctly. Also, this point was magenta before, which tells me that this point also merged its way up there, I think. Yeah, weird. Okay, so let's hit this with a solve. Shift G. Oh, no. Why have you forsaken me? Russ. Okay, so what did I do? The tough thing with this as well is if you control A, normally you can find a jumping tracker by looking at your velocity paths in the graph editor. But the graph editor, here's what the velocity looks like. It's not helpful because with set images, your camera is moving, you know, it's jumping around. So we can't really tell what point is the odd one out. So I'm going to look at the points that I added because my last solve worked with these points. So let me see what this is. Hotel, you're sorry? You share my pain? Chris Ando. Man's gone live. Or man's gonna live? I hope both. So this point's probably fine. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, let's pretend the points are fine. If I can't get this to work, I'm gonna look around at the points more, although there should not be an issue. So let's do this. I'm gonna go to my solver. We're gonna mess with the beginning and end frame. The beginning and end frame, I say this a lot. I'll say it again real quick. It's like your left and right eye. Every solver program needs to get an initial solve to start with. And sometimes if the camera moves around in crazy angles, it picks the wrong frames. So we're gonna manually say frame 1 and 2. Or whatever the number is right there. I can't read. I'm so blind right now. So let's go drag the second frame. There we go, 1 and 2. So we gave it a nice move just over to the left. Between 1 and 2, we're going left. First, let's see if it solves just as it is. Oh my goodness, did it solve? It's gonna be an easy night for me. There we go. Okay, well that was easy. So, the Epic Noob, it's been a while. It's been a minute since a Calvin stream. It has. I might do these as I'm making tutorials now, because I'm noticing for a lot of tutorials I have 5 tutorials that are in the making. It's just some people got sick, so I had to put off shooting, and I need to shoot people who can help me because I can't film them myself. I need people interacting objects and acting in some of them, because I'm gonna have a really complex bow and arrow sequence here coming up. So arrow hit, arrow draw, and fire, and a few others, but I got my plans derailed by sickness. Okay, so now that we got a solve, I have tracker radars on, so you can see these red rings. These red rings, the larger the ring, the more that the point is erroring out. The Epic Noob, that sounds amazing. I live for these tutorials. I hope to start churning them out fast again. We had a period where I was able to do them really quickly. I had to take a short break, and then I got the eyeball one, and then I had to take a short break again. I'm gonna try and start doing some more tutorials again here real soon, once I can get my friends. All right, so now these tracker radars, if you don't have them, you can right click, go to view, show tracker radar. And we're gonna look at those right now because we're gonna talk about distortion. Well, we're not gonna talk much about it, I'm just gonna do it. So I'm gonna switch over to refine mode because we have a general move for the camera that we wanna keep. Like the camera, it's moving pretty correctly in its path. Now we just gotta refine it. Oh, I also have an old distortion that I left there. It's kind of a miracle that this thing solved, because I dragged around these numbers and left it there. So I'm gonna right click and clear that. Might as well hit solve real quick. There we go. Didn't matter, I didn't have to do that, but let's clear cube. You know, let's just hit reset all. All right, so now I'm gonna turn on quadratic. Usually start with 1. And then you're in refine, go. And that's probably pretty good. Let's look at the error, 1.1. So let's take a look at our points real quick. Are they perfect? No. You see that? No, I want to select this. I can't select it. Hold on, let's do this one more time. Solve. And now, turn on my distortion. Nope, not that one. Calculate. Okay, here we go. So you can see how, even with my distortion, it didn't change much. Now, why is that? Chris Ando. I'll always appreciate the personal tutorial you gave me for a Minecraft. Oh, that was you. Oh, Ando. Good to see you. Well, good to see your text. Good to see me. Thank you. That was a fun thing to try out. I have a Minecraft shot. I wonder if I have it buried on my main drive right now that I can show. No, I don't. I have a shot where I had a friend pulling up Minecraft blocks out of the ground. That was really fun. Okay, so improving this error. How do we do that? We can add on some more distortion parameters and hit go. And look at that. Adding Cortic improved it a bit more. But not enough. Also, we shouldn't look at this point because I tracked it off screen. Let's look over here. There we go. So at this point, we want it to be a lot better, but we turned on that distortion. Why didn't it get better? And we turn on cubic, hit solve. It gets a little bit better. We're giving SynthEyes a lot of leeway to warp the image however it needs to make these points fit, but they're not fitting perfectly. iPhones have a weird distortion to it. So the thing with iPhones and any smartphone, honestly, when you're dealing with a sensor so small and a lens so small, you can't align them perfectly. There's just no way. So how do we do that? SynthEyes has a nifty little feature. First, let's go to the lens tab so it's easy for you to see what's going to happen here. So we have our distortion, right? You could see I'm warping the mesh, the distortion mesh here. Now, let me turn off those radars for a moment. So we could see we're distorting this, right? If you look down here, we have lens center. So if I drag this, we can actually shift the optical center for the lens. And this will account for when your lenses are not perfectly mounted to your camera, if you have some damage to it or something, or if you bought a really cheap, crappy lens from, I don't know, God knows where, or if you're working with phones like I am now, where there's no possible way at such a small scale that they can align these things. So we're going to check off lens center. And when I solve this, we'll see the box is just going to move left, right, up, down. Great. So you see that it moved up. Yeah, see that? So if I look over here, look at the difference that just made. Let me go view, show tracker radar. Yeah, you see that? Lenses are not perfect. Even if you're Apple, which, you know, Apple's thing is kind of their machining beautiful devices, but you can't escape. You can't escape that one, Apple. Okay, so now that I have that, Ando, I remember doing this. Oh, that's right, you had to do this. Ando and I were talking about a Minecraft shot. He was tracking gameplay footage, but the OBS screen recorder or whatever he was using to captured the plate slightly up or down, if I remember correctly, which makes sense because your system has to account for a taskbar and other stuff. So SynthEyes couldn't get a perfect solve, but when you turn on lens center, it helps find your optical center. Yeah. Okay, so now that we have that, we have our points solved now. Oh, what is this ugly mess? Oh, I tracked something wrong over there. You know, I'm going to disable this point right here. Oh, for that frame. Cool. And I got a lot of blue here. I'm going to disable all of that noise. Awesome. I never had Minecraft in full screen. Oh yeah. Oh, was that it? You monster. That was the culprit, huh? Okay, so something I also want to mention. So we did improve our solve a lot. Like a lot. Using those feet, wait, hold up. Why is that off a little bit? Oh, okay. I'm looking at like a pixel a slide. So like, you know, it's like a pixel and a half. That's not a bad error considering the resolution of this image, which is 4032 3024. So that resolution is so high. The higher your resolution is, the higher your error will always be because there's more pixels. So more pixels equals more pixel slide. It doesn't matter because most movies are shown to you on like HD resolution in theaters even, which is annoying to me, but it's a thing. So when you're dealing with 4K and your error is like 2 or 3, you actually have a pretty good error around like 1.5 if you were dealing with HD or whatever, which is usually what studios offer you to work with. A lot of people like to give proxy files. They like to half the resolution and give you that, which is kind of annoying much of the time. The ones that give you full resolution, they are angels. So that error is fine for me. Also, the rings are so big because no matter how good your error gets, so what am I at? I can't read that. 0.5, I think it says. I'm kind of far away and my mic's in the way. So yeah, my error is very low and the radars are still giving me a large error. That is not a problem at all because these rings are relative to your overall error in your scene. The reason they're big is because you could still go and improve your trackers if you want, no matter how good your solve is. So you could just keep on going and these rings will still show up as large. So don't get hung up on that. Radars are amazing. All right, let's orient this and scale it. Orient and scale. Cool. So what does it look like in 3D? If I hit F4, yeah, so this is crooked. Ideally, we want a big square. So what's the quickest way to make a square? There's two ways that I like doing. One way I'm not going to do, but I'm going to talk about it right now. We can go to Lens, and we can use Add Line, and draw some perspective lines like Z, X, Y, if there's any Y points somewhere, I can't see any. Right there's some Y line points over these columns, pillars. But I don't want to do that. I really don't. I'd rather tell some points what axis line they are on. So let's start with this and select the point at the very end. We're going to Alt-click it. So now that I've Alt-clicked, it's hard to see right now. Let me turn off the image. They are connected by a gray line, which, by the way, in the future, I'm going to use this for a phone tracking tutorial, a screen tracking tutorial. But now they are linked. If you come over to your tracker tab with your first point selected, you can change. You have some new constraint options here. I'm just going to tell them that these are on the Z axis. And it doesn't even ask for a coordinate in depth, just that these 2 points are meant to be aligned to each other on the Z axis. So now let's also select this point all the way to the other end. Alt-click it. Oh, wait. So here's a little problem. You can't start from the same point twice because this point is already a Z-axis to this one. So instead of selecting this one first, which is already Z-axis, I'm going to select this point and then come and select or Alt-click this one. So now my other point is selected and I can tell it that it is on X. So I got my x-axis going this way, z-axis going that way. Let's head over here. So I'm gonna grab this point at this end, come back, alt-click this, and make sure, let me show image off. Yeah, there we go. We're gonna tell it that it's on the z-axis, just like the one on the other side. Cool. Now, are one of these free for me to tell it that it's on another x-axis? This one over here? Yeah, this one's unconstrained. So I'm going to select this one, and then over here, X. Okay, so here's the cool part. So when I solve this, it's going to just automatically straighten itself out. It's going to take these gray lines, it's going to straighten the whole scene. So, solve. Oh, what's it doing? I have never seen this before in my life. Checking constraints, and it's counting upwards. I need a drink. 1 second. I've never seen this happen before. I like how I tried to like mute myself because I heard like a little bit of slurp there. I thought it was kind of gross. Accidentally censored my mouth noise. Okay, so let's just cancel that. Oh no. Okay, so this is new. I am stuck here. Alright, so give me a moment. I'm gonna probably force quit this and open up the file where I already have points. I'm just gonna do it really fast. Oh my god. Yeah, this synthesizer is kind of dead. Bringing it back. Almost ready. Okay. No more ugly mug. Okay, that was annoying. All right, so let me lightning speed this. So I'm going to select this. Alt click that. Call it Z. And I'm going to take this. Nope, sorry, this. Alt click this. On X. Click that. And on Z. And on X. Okay, so I kind of didn't do an initial solve of this, so we'll see what happens. We're going to take the frames, start it at the beginning again. Go. Did it just work? Please tell me it just worked. Hey, it just worked. Ugh. I hate unpredictable stuff on streams so much. Look at how straight it is. That deserves another sip of iced tea while I'm muted. Okay, now we have that. Let's see if we can scale this. So, scaling. I did not get measurements of this place. I actually am just thinking of that now because I don't need measurements for the actual shot. So here's what you would do. If you measured a couple of points, what you could do is, let's see. Let's say I knew what this, let's say I measured from this little corner over to this one. I can select one tracker, alt click the other. They're linked. And I can come over to trackers, and instead of telling them an axis, down here we have distance, and I can tell it, right now my synthesize is in centimeters, so whatever this is in centimeters, I don't know, let's make it 50 for now. If I go F4, let's switch to refine. Solve. So you could see that we have now scaled the scene up to match the scale between those points. That's how you can measure with linked points. Let's undo that. Hotel Lima. I thought that stuff breaking on stream was the most predictable thing. Expect the unexpected, huh? Whenever I go to publicly present anything, something breaks horribly. Oh no. You got a story? Do you got a quick story you can tell? Super curious. Let me quickly add my distortion back. And my lens center. And solve. Did it work? What happened? Did I do too much distortion too fast? Okay. Now let me trickle this in. Slowly. It keeps scaling up. It's weirding me out. But it's working. Let's turn off these distortion parameters and we'll just do lens center. Why does it keep scaling up? That's making me so nervous. Let's see what happens if I do my distortion now with all of it together. So it died again, huh? That's too bad. Sometimes when the image shifts, I like to also calculate the distortion with it, because when your image shifts, well, you know, the distortion is different slightly, so you kind of want them to work together. So with that lens center off, now I'm going to try to calculate the distortion. So Shift G. Why? Okay, so I did one. Now let's turn that off, turn on the other one. Why do you keep getting so much bigger? It's not that bad though. Okay, so it's actually not that bad. That looks kind of extreme though. Actually, that looks kind of not right. I'm going to enable the tracker right here. Give it a little bit of lift. Oh no. Why did I have to try and improve this? No. I'm gonna cancel this, go back to... Wait, was I always in automatic? I'm in automatic. Oops. Let's go to refine. Tell me this will just work. Oh my goodness. I'm an idiot. Let me see if I can add this point right... Wait, what? I should add it right there, actually. That's a pretty good frame. I could have sworn there was a frame here that looked a whole lot worse. I guess not. All right, I'm crazy. Cool. All right, I'm crazy. So, what am I doing now? Okay, let's scale it the way that I want to scale it right now because I don't have measurements. Now, if you were working in VFX, if you were working in a studio and you need to get the best possible scale you can, you're going to want to take a look around your scene. Ideally, you could look around for doors. You can look at seats because seats typically have an average height. Obviously here, we can look at people. I don't know how tall these people are. So here's something else that I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go, actually first, let's mark a point, tell us where the ground is here. I'm gonna put a person in here. And we're gonna color this, sure, yellow. Now F4. So here's my point. I'm gonna put a dude right around there. I'm gonna come over to Earthling. Let's bring him around here, and I'm gonna scale him to, wow, this scale is insane. So let's type in, I'm gonna type in my height, which is basically 200 centimeters. Look at the scale. When I was saying that the scene kept scaling up each time, I was not crazy. So there we go, center that. I gotta scale this whole scene down. So I'm gonna go whole, scale. And that's not gonna scale my dude, is it? Yeah, so it's gonna scale my dude. I'm gonna right click, 3D, whole effects meshes off. Where's my homie? Oh, he's over there. Okay, I'm pretty sure you can't see this because he's just literally 1 pixel big there. I just moved him from here to here. I don't know why this scene scaled up so massively. I should have just put a scale constraint and let this thing shrink back down. You know what? You're right. Maybe I should. You're right. So I'm gonna go click this, and I'm gonna, I don't know, 150 centimeters. Also, let me hit this with a save. All right, Shift G. You should have did that from the start, Calvin. Quiet you. Oh, also, I don't know why this is the case. Don't ask me why the scene flipped when it was the other way. The point is the axis lines are still correct. I don't know why it flips, and also I usually just don't take the time to rotate this in Synthize, because if you go here, click this, see it's not on the axis, it's not on the world axis here, it's on the object axis of the camera. And can I do this? No, that's just does a weird center thing and it moves the whole world around it. Oh crap. Yeah, I don't know how to change that to, I don't know how to make this into world space transforms. So otherwise I would just type in 90 degrees here and flip it, but I'll do that later in Blender. So we're just gonna leave it at this, it's fine, doesn't matter. I am gonna bring my dude over here and see that he is absolutely massive. So scaling, my educated guess here for what the scale of this guy is gonna be is, here's how it's gonna work. So I'm gonna drag him to the ground, that little yellow point. There. So I lost my mouse. So I can scale them, right? Now, when I shot this, so I know the ground's there and I can see how tall I am using the camera path. Because when I shot this, I held my phone like right here, right in front of my face, kind of by my chin. So since I scaled this dude to my height, 200 centimeters, I can take my camera. Wait, did I scale this? Oh, that's right. Oh, he's at 200. So I'm going to go whole for my camera scene. Now I'm going to click on the yellow point and I'm going to scale this up until the path here lines up roughly to my neck. There we go. So that is the best estimate that I'm going to give for this. Yeah, and there you could see I'm taller than the other people, which is good because I am. I'm a freakish monster. I look down on everyone. It's kind of affected how I treat people. It's hard for me to see others as an equal, you know? Okay, so now that we got that, when it comes to architecture, architecture is not perfect. These things are warped. I know for a fact that they are, and I know that they are not straight. They are straight-ish, but they are not perfectly straight, and the solve has a lot of data going for it. So this isn't as off as you think. So because I don't care that it's not perfect, I do just want to make sure that we're kind of lined up roughly the same in the grid. I don't care where it is in depth. That's just preference. But the world is not perfect, so you don't always have to try and force things over here. I could make a grid and I can constrain these corners to a perfect square. But this is not a perfect square. Because again, architects are drunk. Okay, so I'm done. So I'm done with this. Oh, something you should also do usually that I forgot to mention. I'm not gonna do it here. I'm not gonna do this. But something you should have done to start is you should have went to more and turned transition frames down to 0. What transition frames is for is when you have a free moving camera or a nodal or anything and you have that camera panning around and trackers are turning off because they're going off screen. When a tracker turns off, your camera pops because it lost that bit of influence. And you don't want your camera to pop every time a tracker goes off screen. So transition frames usually is at 3, which means every time a tracker is about to turn off, it slowly starts to tone its influence down. Like it has an influence of 1 the whole time. And then just before it shuts off, it's going down by 1, 2, 3 until it's 0. So that you get a soft fall off whenever a tracker is about to turn off. When you're doing photo modeling, these trackers are constantly flying in and off screen very quickly. Turn this to 0. I probably would have got a better solve with this. In fact, I did turn this off for my first solve, which is what I'm going to import into Blender. So yeah, that's a thing. It's not a huge deal, honestly. The solve is not the worst. It's just a thing that's, you know, there. So let's say that I'm done. I'm going to set this up as if I'm done, but I'm going to import my other export into Blender. But here's what you do when you're done. First off, we need to apply this distortion. So come over to Summary, say Lens Workflow. Actually, you could have just stayed under Solver, Lens Workflow. In fact, so I'm going to do that. Go to Redistorted 2. Redistorted 1 will, or Undistorted 1 will undistort your plate and cut off your image. Redistorted 2 will redistort your image, and it increased the resolution of my shot to account for this. So you could take the new resolution into CG software and render it out and not lose quality when you redistort here in your compositor. But here you could see we now have increased margins. You could see my plate offset with the lens center that we calculated for. Yeah, so there's like nothing down here. This is the plate that you want to work with in your other software, or in like your 3D software. So once you've applied that, you can come over to save sequence. And if you know how to use this, that's awesome. I'm not going to go through it. I already written it out. But yeah, you save this out. And that's that. So now you want to come over, and I'm going into Blender. If you're in like Maya or other software, you're best to use a FBX film box. I'm going to use Alembic because it's very nice for Blender. So I used this. Let's make a null. I'm not really going to export this. So I already have my file there. Just to be safe, because I don't want to overwrite that. So when you're saving it, I like to add a frame offset of 1 right here, because Blender does a frame, like a 1 frame 0, 1, like it does a little offset. So this is going to fix this offset that Blender likes to add. Scale, I am working at a centimeter scale, and this is pretty standard for the industry, what I just did here. So this is a pretty worldwide. But Blender, again, works at its own scale. So I have to scale my scene down. So 0.01. And then just, okay. And I'm going to start working more with screens because I like them now. And tracker chisel, if you want cones, you can use chisels because that chisel, it's an upside down cone. That would give you cones. So I'm gonna cancel that. And let me quickly go to Blender. For now, swap this. That's the end of the synthesize portion, so if anybody just wanted to see that. I'm not a master in Blender, but I got a couple things to show in it. Okay, so real quick, if you go to Blender, I'm going to hit A, delete all that. You don't need any of the existing stuff. So classic Blender move, delete the default cube, but also the camera and the light. So I'm going to hit F3, and you could just type in Alembic or FBX, whatever you need, and then import. I'm going to quickly change my screen because sometimes I have work projects that I can't show the titles for, and Blender likes to default its file browser to show a certain page, and I just want to make sure I don't show a title. So import Alembic. Let me navigate to it. Okay. So I'm going to double click my thing. Import, and this is the file. This is my solve from before, but you wouldn't notice a difference. So yeah. So how do I set this up, or how do I clean this up? So here's my first step for me. Up at the top, I'm going to select my trackers. Actually, I could have just right-clicked, select hierarchy. Now I selected all the locators. I think Walnut Brain was the one who taught me this a while ago. Now you can right click and then adjust empty display size, which is awesome. But I kind of want to keep all the far away points big, so I'm going to control deselect all of the far points, all the stuff on the buildings, because I just want to scale down this really tight stuff over on the fountain, or on the, yeah, fountain, whatever. There we go. We're also going to turn off the relationship lines. So come up here, relationship lines gone. We don't need that. And now let's kind of move some things in collections. I'm going to select all my trackers, hit M while you're in here, new collection. I'm going to call it locators. Oops, wait. Oh, okay, I did it correctly. So now that I did that, I also want to get rid of this main locator that everything's parented under. I don't need that. The point of that is to scale your scene, but I already scaled my scene. So now we have locators under a collection. Now, if I have any geometry, which I will have a lot more of soon, I'm going to take it, give it its own collection called set proxies. Set proxies, you know, proxy because it's temporary geometry. It's kind of the base for things to prove your track is working, or maybe it's just shadow holdout and stuff, which you might actually just want a separate collection for holdouts. But for now, I'm just going to go set proxy because I'm building this out. Nothing special. And camera, I don't really want it in this collection. Could I rename this? I could just rename it. Oh, could you not rename that main collection? I've never actually tried. I don't know. I was going to make a new one. New collection. Let's call it cam data. And I'm going to call it cam data because maybe if I wanted to further animate or do any tweaks, I can put locators and any other constraint, like controllers or stuff under here. So keep it all tucked together. Okay, so now let me do my camera. I'm going to split the viewer and hit 0 over here. Actually, you know what? Let's just do full camera view. So now, how do we get our image in here? I'm going to, with the camera selected, which it already is, I just want to show it. I can come over here and click on Object, Data, Properties. Over here, we're going to come down to Background Images, check that box. And I'm going to add image. Now that I've added an image, we don't have any sequences loaded here. So we're going to go open. And again, just because of file stuff, let me quickly do, let me do this. Okay. So I just went and navigated to my folder, and here's my undistorted. And again, if you undistorted your plates and saved them out, you'd have them like this. So I'm going to select these, or you can select all of it and you'll have two sequences in here to toggle between, but I don't need that. So I'm just going to select this, open. And you could see things are squished. Things don't stick. So why is that? That would be because our resolution needs to match SynthEyes. So if I come over to here, what's this called? I don't know. Output properties. I think my resolution was something like 4080 and 3060. Let's give that a try. 4080, 3060. Did I nail it? Yes, I did. Okay, so let's go back to the camera. And if you have a lot of images, like you tracked 100 frames or so, make sure that frames right here. Oh, my camera's covering things. No. There we go. Wow, I'm sorry. Okay, so now that we've opened our image and we got our sequence here, again, if we selected all those images, you would have two image sequences here to select from, which is kind of cool. And you want to make sure you're on image sequence. Make sure that frames is higher than whatever your frame count is for your sequence. I've only got a, what? Oh, do I only have 20 frames? Oh, it just got lucky. I'm going to crank it a little higher. Why not? Offset. If you didn't check that offset thing in Synthize, you would have to adjust this by 1 frame, either up or down. I can't remember. Easy test. Just try it up or down and then scrub, see if it works. Down here, opacity. There we go. Turning it all the way up. Now we can see our actual image. You might like to turn this down a little bit so you could see your geometry, so long as you can still see your image. And I think that's it. Cool. So now that we have this, now I'm not going to sit and model this on stream. I'm going to place one thing. I'm going to place maybe 1 or 2 pieces of geo just to show how I might display them and organize them. And then I'll show one little trick that I'm saving for a tutorial, because I'm going to do a tutorial on like modeling tips and tricks for match move stuff. That's one of the tutorials I got planned. So I'm just going to do something really quick, and the stream is going to be over relatively soon. So here's how I might do it in Blender. I'm not good at Blender, by the way. So this is just how I've been doing it so far. So let's say I want this long stretch of thing, whatever it's called. So I'm going to start from this locator and snap a cube over there. So I'm going to go Shift A, bring in a cube, and this cube, I'm going to hit Control period, which lets me move the origin, and I want to have snapping to vertice. Let's go center. Sure, why not? Let's see. If I tap G and move it around, you can see that I'm now snapping this origin to the vertices. So I'll snap it there, Control period to turn that off, and while snapping is still on, I can hit G and snap it to, oh yeah, this doesn't work for me for some reason. Yeah, see, I can snap this cube to other locators in the scene, but for some reason, it doesn't like when this is close to the camera. So let me see if I can come over and cheat this angle over here. Now I'll grab it, and let's come back. Okay, cool. I think I did it. So let's scale it down. Yeah, I got it. Okay. So I don't know why that's a thing. It's annoying, but we did it. So we don't want to model things with solid shading on ever, because what's the point? You got to see your footage. So let's go into wireframe mode. So if I hold Z, come over to wireframe. Hey, look at that. The other thing is, it's cool. Oh, yeah, it's cool and all seeing, you know, the edges through the geometry, but we don't want to see that because that's just visual noise. And when you're having so many overlapping pieces of geo, you don't want to see through everything and see all the edges like this. So how do we clear that? We can come over to, what's this stuff called? Shading and X-ray here. Turn X-ray all the way up. And now you can see we don't have to see that crap behind. We've occluded it out. So now I can scale. Hey, look at that. And now let's hit this with a that. And now that we got that, so let's, hold on, I'm going to split my viewport. Let's go over to the other side. In fact, let's go into edit mode, select the face, and now snap over there. So now I can see how close I am to this edge. So there's a couple ways you can snap this. One is you can actually grab the face and, you know, snap it over here. But I like to keep my object transforms as clean as possible. That's just my habit. You don't have to. If you want, you can warp your geometry and move a face over. You can grab and stretch it out like this, and it's probably a little bit quicker than what I'm about to do. You know what? I'm probably just going to do this from now on, honestly. I'm not in Maya, it's so easy. In Blender's snapping and stuff isn't the best. So what I was going to do is I can go up top view, rotate, hold shift to go slow, side view, rotate, hold shift to go slow. And if you need to, scale on an axis, hold shift to go slow. There we go. I'm probably just going to move the faces around next time. So anyway, there is one of my things. And you could see here, this is where we see that the architecture is not perfect. And you can see the cracks and everything. Like this thing has warped over the years. This thing has been up and alive for, I think like 12, 13 years. So the ground is warping, things are cracking. Things aren't perfect. So again, don't ever force things if you have set images. Just trust that the solve points probably found where they need to be. And obviously here I can go into edit mode, Control R, and hey, look, we got, this thing, right? So I'm going to place that and right click to make it center. And let's hit G, middle mouse, and I'm going to lock it to Z so it's just going up and down. And there we go. And if you need to, you can come over and add some more divisions because you can see the rest of this isn't perfect as well. So I'm going to move this over. I don't really like moving these things randomly. I want them to be perfect. That's just a habit of mine. You don't have to be this precise. But just my habit. Whoop. Let's look over here. I should also mention that this all applies in every software. This isn't a Blender thing. There's nothing different about what I'm doing here that I wouldn't be doing or that I would be doing in other software. Okay, so here's a thing too. The more geometry that you get, it's kind of nice to be able to see it all clearly. Like right now, this is black. I can't see it. The lines are just, they're thin and they're faint. And you select it. It's great. Cool. How do we color that? So in Blender, the way to do that is you can select it, come over to what is it, Object Properties, come down to Viewport Display, Color. So right now it's default at white, right? If we come up to the top here, you can see that we have color in the viewport shading. So we can go Object, and there's the objects with the default white color, and it's not very bright, unfortunately. So what I actually like to do, you can color this, by the way. See, it's blue, not that bright. I don't know how to make it brighter, honestly. I don't know why it's so faint compared to this. Yeah, anyway, that's a thing. It's very faint. But if you want it brighter, I found that you can go random, and it tends to pick brighter colors, and it just looks a little better. You might even just be well off going with single. Nope, sorry. The object's default, like just white. Man, that's not bright. You know what? Screw it, we're going random. Random's easy. You just turn it on and you don't even have to touch this stuff. Okay, so let's just say that that's one thing that we just made. And let's say we're fine with it, and you can model out your floor and you can make more cubes, and you know how to do that stuff. So if let's say you need a point somewhere, but hey, you didn't track it, and you want a point for it really badly. So let's say I wanted a point for this pillar thingy here. Oh, wait. The Epic Noob, have you tried exporting the Blender Python file from Synthesize? Sets everything up for you. Does it? I've actually never used it. I didn't know that was a thing. I'll have to try that. I'll look that up. I'm super curious about it now. Oh yeah, I was going to make this third thing over here. So how do I find a point with Blender? So this is a trick that really every match move artist knows. So I am going to... I used to use Alembic too, but Blender Python makes everything so much easier now. I'm going to check that out. I got to check that out. I do like doing things manually, but I don't have to. So to find that corner up there, Hotel Lima. I'm so keen. I've had so many times where I've gone back and needed a point, but it doesn't transfer along with the original solve. Oh, so you're curious about what I'm about to do? Let's see. So to get a point, I gotta mention, in other software, I would use a locator for this. In Blender, you know, they're called empties. The thing with Blender, though, is I can't just go use an empty. Oh, I got snapping on. Shift tab. There, snapping's off. I can't just go ahead and use a empty, because if I control period, I believe you can't move the origins of these things, because the empty itself is the origin. In Maya, you can have a locator and then move your pivot wherever you want it to be, which is what we want for this trick. So I can't use locators. And just so I'm certain, let me see if there was something else I can do. Can I move the origin for a shape like this? Control period. Oh wait. No, I can't. And just to make sure I'm not crazy, let me make a cube. I'm on the origin. Yeah, so you can move it for objects. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna make myself a cone, and then that cone, I'm gonna use it to find my points. So I'm going to highlight the bottoms and F3, merge at center. Goodie. Now control period and object mode with turn snapping on with shift tab. Now grab and snap it down there. And control period, turn that off. And now we have our origin. See, we can snap our cone around to our locators. Okay, so here's, I'm sorry if that was a little complicated. Anyway, we just made a cone. Really, you can use a sphere, you can use anything you want for this, really. I kind of like having that perfect pinpoint. So, period. Again, you could have made a sphere and made a little dot. So, totally up to you. You can use any object for this. So I'm gonna scale this. It doesn't matter where it is in depth. Just make it look pretty in your viewport. Let's go with the top. Cool. Whoa. All right, so now that we have sitting there, let me shrink my timeline a little bit. So when I move around, you can see that cone is just floating in space wherever we left it. It only lines up on one frame because, yeah. So here's what you do. Now, and again, this is what everybody does. This is the easiest way to get a 3D point if you don't have a tracker for it. So this thing here, I'm gonna move its pivot point to the camera. So I'm gonna go control period and G, drag over, highlight the camera, and now our origin is snapped right there. And then control period. So now when I scale, you could see we're moving the locator, but it's in the perspective of the camera. So it looks the same. So it doesn't matter where I leave this. And if I scrub over, you could see that origin stays where the camera used to be. So if I scale it, you could see it's going to travel in the other camera view now. It lines up on that one frame where we started it. So let's go and look over here. This is the column. So if I scale it, let's scale in this view. We can scale it until it lines up. And now that should stick no matter, let's snap the origin. So we found that point in depth without the need of a locator. So that is a thing. Also, I got one more little trick and then I'm gonna stop the stream. One more trick. Let's say we have the, so let's turn the plate color up. It's kind of hard to see. Opacity up a bit. There we go. So let's say the cauldron. We're going to use that same trick, but we're going to use it on this cauldron up here. Actually, let's do this one right here. It's more visible. So let's go ahead and make a cylinder. And this cylinder, I'm going to just highlight it. 3, get rid of these faces. And I'm going to take the center face as well. Wait. There we go. So I deleted the face. Oh no. There we go. So now we have a little ring of vertices. I need a drink. All right, so now that we have these little vertices here in a ring, and I made a ring instead of a curve because remember the curves and the empties, you can't move an origin. So instead, I used geometry and we made a ring. So what I'm going to do with this now is I am going to just move and scale it and match it up with the cauldron in the shot. So I'm also going to snap the origin to the center because I don't want to scale it like this. It's kind of hard to work with. So let's come up to Object, Set Origin, Origin to Geometry. And now, there we go. So let's move it over here. Whoops, I snapped it up to the locator, which I didn't really care to do, but it doesn't matter that I did. It's closer now just because it snapped to the locator. So Shift Tab, I'm going to turn that off. All right. Okay, so now that we have this, I don't know if I have the exact, like, whatever the radius of this thing should be. It's hard for me to see. Let's scale it up just a bit, just to be safe. Okay, so this might work. So I've never tried it on this shot yet. I do this a lot with trees, poles. I do this a lot with cylindrical things, where you need a quick model, but the points, it's hard to get the volume of a cylinder. So now that I have that, let's go ahead and snap the pivot over to the camera. So Control period G. Oh, I need snapping. Shift Tab, get my vertice thing back. There we go. We're locked to the camera. Control period. And now we can scale this same way. So let's go find another angle. And here you can see the offset and the actual cauldron. So I'll scale this up now. And it looks like we were slightly off there. So I'm going to hold Shift and drag it there. Let's go set my origin to the center of geometry so I can scale this a little bit. And hopefully that's not too bad. Okay, first frame. Looks okay. A little bit off there, but we scaled it a little bit better now. So now that we've scaled it better, let me hit it one more time to the camera. Go to the other frame. Actually, it's pretty good. I think I fluked it off. A little bit off there, but I also don't know if this thing is warped or slightly tilted over the years. I don't know. Maybe some hooligans climbed up here and stood on things and it warped it a little bit. So there might be like a little bit of a set origin. Let's center this. There might be a little rotation. There could be. Again, just remember, things in the real world are not perfect. Okay, so that's cool. Last little trick there. So again, if you were modeling a glass or a whatever, a tree, who cares, whatever, something cylindrical. Here's what you can do now. Take your, oh, let's go over here. Oh my goodness. So take your edges, Shift E to duplicate. Oh, turn off snapping. Shift E to duplicate, move down on the Z axis here, and I'm gonna go right down here, and now highlight all of it. Oh, go into edge mode, and now you can bridge edge loops. Hey. Okay, so we just modeled one of the cauldrons using a nifty little trick. Cool, huh? No? Okay. So I think that's pretty satisfying. Yeah, anyway, I think that's cool. So I'm done. Hotel Lima TV. Nice. Someone enjoyed it. So I don't know. I hope this stream went well. And I'm kind of tired now. Because again, I had a very crappy sleep. So I hope this was enjoyable. And yeah. So I'm gonna work on this a little bit more on my own time. Model a few things out because I need a couple of these things for my nodal tutorial with survey data. So yeah, I'm gonna work on this a little bit more, and that's gonna be it. So yeah. Always appreciate the vids. I appreciate you more than you know. Way more than you know. Hotel, it's relaxing. I can't speak. It's relaxing watching a good solve while working. Are you working right now? I wish that I can watch streams while I work right now. I just get distracted at the moment, so I don't. Okay, I'm very tired. So I'm gonna wind this down now. So I'm gonna hit this with the thanks for watching. Hey, I'm also doing Blender stuff. While watching. I'm diving a whole lot more into Blender. I always am, just very slowly, because I don't have a lot of time to dive full into it. But I'm doing a lot more in Blender, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. I will admit, it pains me every time that I find things it can't do amongst all the things that it can do. But it's getting there. They add features at light speed. They are adding so much stuff every build, so that's cool. Yeah, in Australia working. Sleep well. Thank you so much. I am going to sleep well. All right, I appreciate. I saw the views fluctuate from like 3, hovered around 4 most of the stream, and then I think we capped at like 6 or 7. And we had that for a little while. So that's kind of cool. Seeing some people stop by again. I'm not going to do this as frequently as I used to. I did it too much, I think. So whenever I'm doing a tutorial and I have any kind of setup I got to do, or like little things that won't be in the tutorial, I'm probably going to use those as my excuse to stream. So it might be weird random topics coming up once in a while. All right, I'm going to go now. Thank you. Later. I was about to cut off the stream, and then I just saw Walnut come back. Too bad. I've already done it. You know what? Might as well show you for the hell of it before I run away. I did a little trick to make a cylinder thing without points. So that's nifty. And then I showed how to do that locator trick in Blender to find a depth thingy without locators. Yeah, I don't know. All right, I did have a good stream, and I said I was going to go. I'm going to go now. No special treatment. Not even for Walnut. All right. And goodbye for the last time. I usually like to let it linger for a little bit and then fade out the music, but you know what?